Hello, everyone. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. I am your host, Lorenzo Melcher, coming to you from PB Studios right here in my parents' basement. Thank you all for liking, sharing, subscribing, downloading to the podcast, doing whatever you can to help the podcast grow. It's greatly appreciated. I have been doing a lot better with social media and posts and all that kind of stuff. So if you see those, give them a like. I had one that almost has 20,000 views on TikTok, so that was pretty cool. Now all the other ones are like 200. But hey, I got a lot of followers. I got over 200 followers on TikTok now. I'm creeping up. I'm at like 192, I think, on YouTube. So we're getting closer there. So if you're not following the podcast on any of those, follow and subscribe to YouTube and TikTok. And of course, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all the other stuff too. And if you want to come on the podcast, you can reach out any of those social medias that I just spoke of, or email the podcast at thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. So that is it. That's the business with the podcast and how everything's going. Again, I appreciate everything everyone does to help the podcast grow. So thank you and enjoy the episode.
Hi, this is Mark Weber, and you're watching the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Awesome, Mark. Thanks for coming out and coming on the podcast.
All right. Thanks for having me, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I always see you about town doing things, campaigning. So I know I tried to get you on one time. I wanted to read the book that you guys made, which I'll ask about too.
Sure.
But I'm never able to especially if someone has something, I want to have questions about it.
You know,
and I've never been able to sit down
and that's fine.
It's
you know what, Lorenzo, it's a coffee table book. It's the kind of book you can open up to any page and just see something new about it. I tell you, a lot of my friends, they'll ask me history questions. I said, and they've all had the bad books, and I say, it's in the book. Oh, you didn't read the book, did you? So that's when I looked at the pictures, I said, all right.
Hey, they have it, right?
Yeah. And then it's kind of funny too. And my son Tony, and him and I are always busting each other's chops, And so he's always telling me about stuff. He did say, well, Tony, did you write a book? He says, yeah, Dad, you wrote a picture book. So how he's like. He's like.
Yeah. I know my friends don't listen to this podcast very often, unless it's somebody that we grew up with or whatever. And I'm like, I was talking to a couple of them about something. I was like, yeah, but it's on the podcast that you guys never listen to.
You're right.
That's right. If I always tell people they don't have to listen to everyone. Some people do. My dad does. He's retired. He'll pop it on YouTube on the TV and watch it. And I was like, but if you find one that you like, then just watch that.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I surf through them and see one that looks interesting. I just watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there for everyone to. That's why I try to broaden my guests. Maybe bring in new people. Maybe the people that listen to your episode have never heard of the podcast, and maybe I get one new subscriber out of it.
Oh yeah, great.
So,
yeah. Subscribe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hit the subscribe button.
Well, Mark, the first thing I always ask people is what is something you're nerding out about? Something you're really into?
Oh boy, you know what? It's evolved over the years. I have, I've nerded out about a lot of things, and if I can go back, I used to be into cars. In the '70s, I had muscle cars and stuff, and that was fun. And of course, then started having kids, and then I just got into a lot of my career as a construction. As a construction electrician, I used that to my advantage to do a lot of remodeling, and then I was really nerding out about. Loved remodel projects. And then in 96, I built a house from the ground up.
Wow.
My dad and I worked a lot on it together, and, we did almost everything we could ourselves and contracted what the big stuff that we couldn't do. So that was 96, and that was out there on Reeds Road then. And that's where we raised the kids. We had some property out there and a nice pole barn. So I, like getting Tony how to wrench on cars and stuff like that.
I was going to ask you about that because you mentioned muscle cars, and I thought in high school he had like a Trans Am, right?
Let me tell you about that Trans Am, and I hope he sees this too because he got a Trans Am. He got a really nice. Found him a nice '77 Trans Am. He was into Smokey and the Bandit. Okay. So we get that Trans Am, and we found a '77 that he really liked. Then we found out, this thing is so rare and in such good shape. He says. He didn't want to drive it. Let's save this, and he still has that Trans Am till today.
Okay.
So then well, let's go buy a junky Trans Am so he can drive. So he had a white, he went and bought a 84 Trans Am.
Okay.
All right. It was an anniversary specials, and that's what he had in high school, his senior year. Well, towards the end of his senior year, he wrecked it. I think it was coming out of school. I don't know. He doesn't blame himself, but I still give him a heck about it because it was an old car. We only had liability insurance on it. Okay, so what's he do? Brings it home, parks it, and joins the Marines, leaves, and I know he's going to be gone for 4 years. And I'm stuck with this wrecked car in my garage. And
How wrecked was it?
The whole front end was messed up, yeah. Okay. And so I said, well, now what the heck am I going to do with this thing? So I said, well, I had some time. So I started wrenching on and fixing. Started taking it apart. And then this Trans Am nerd, I hope he's not watching, but he got wind of this. He goes, do you realize how rare that car is right there? They only made 500 of those. That is the anniversary special. You've got to fix that up like it's brand new. I said, you kidding me? He says, oh, yeah. So he kind of helped me out, and we took that car down to the very last nut and bolt and built it back up, made it showroom condition. I put thousands. I don't know how many hours we put into that.
Yeah.
This is back in 03, 04.
Okay.
And we took it to Trans Am Nationals in Dayton, won first place. And I said, all right, I don't want a car I can't drive.
Yeah.
So I sold it at Auburn Auto Auction.
Okay.
Ended up getting $1,000 more than I had into it.
Oh, nice.
But it was a great experience.
Yeah.
And then when Tony was home on leave and things like that, we'd work on it together. So it was a lot of fun to do that.
I was going to ask you how he was involved, but that makes
sense.
Great.
Yeah. Other than wrecking it, he did. He did kind of help fix it up and went to the show with me. So
yeah.
So anyway, that was I nerded out on that for a while, and then when the kids got older and started getting their own places, that's when I really nerd out on helping out the family, and all I could, and with all the construction projects, every kid's got a house, every kid's house needed work.
Yeah.
Tony moved to Montana, and but I tell you what, Lorenzo, 15 years ago, if you'd have told me that someday I was going to be a ranch hand, and defeathering chickens, I'd have said you're crazy.
Yeah.
But what's he do? He goes out to Montana, learns how to do sustainable farming, comes back. Hey, I can go back home and do a farm like that, and that's what he did. He came back and opened up Weber Ranch, and with the grass-fed beef and pork and everything. And it's funny. Most farmers, they teach their sons how to run a farm. In this case, my son taught his father how to work at a farm. I learned a lot. It was fun. The first thing, he buys an 1897 farm with a bunch of dilapidated buildings. So I helped him work on all those, put electricity in all of them. We put water lines all over underground. So because he didn't want to do crops, he did all organic animal, grass-fed beef, pork, and chickens and all that, turkeys, and learned a lot. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember I took my son out there one time. I think he was probably like 5, maybe 5. He's gonna be 14 now, but I remember going out there visiting. They had just started it. They didn't have a bunch of stuff they have now, but it was cool to see. And he really liked. My son liked it. They had piglets there at the time, so he was like the little pigs. So it was cool.
So like everything, I jump in. I jump all the way in. And I get all in it. I'm at the market. For 5 years, he was at the farmers market in Perrysburg, and I worked the booth with him every Thursday. And
does that ever get you in trouble? Knowing yourself, you're like, all right, if I do this thing, it's going to consume my time.
Yes. But then again, I was retired, and there's so like I said, about 10 years ago, if somebody told me you're going to get into politics someday, I told them you're crazy. I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's funny how things hit you, and you really get involved in it, and it's the local history thing I can really say that I nerd out about, and I really got involved in about 10 years ago into Perrysburg history. I I was flipping through my I had sisters that were about 10 years older than me, and I found their old yearbooks. And I was flipping through the back, and in Perrysburg, they graduated Perrysburg 64, 66, and in the back they had these pictures of all these businesses uptown on Louisiana Avenue that bought ads at the back of their yearbook. And I said, oh, geez, of course those businesses aren't there anymore, but the buildings are.
Yeah.
I go uptown, and I said, I'm going to look at this. I said, wow, look at that picture, look at that building. I said,
Yep.
holy cow, and so I started doing that to all of them. I started taking some pictures and putting them on Facebook, and everybody was loving that, the then and now thing.
Yep.
And I said, and everybody's on me, you've got to write a book. You got to do this book. I said, I don't do books, and there you go. And I just said, you got to do it. So I started putting it all together, and I had a big pile of information, papers, and everything. And well, then I get appointed to city council. I said, well, I just put that all to the side.
Yeah.
And so I worked on it for 5 years. And then finally, a good friend of mine, Gary Franks, he's a historian here in Perrysburg. He'd written 6 history books on local history, and he kept pressing me, you've got to finish this book. You got to finish this book, Mark. I said, I just don't have the time, Gary. I'm doing this. I'm helping the kids with their houses. Now I'm city council, and that takes way more time than I ever thought it would. So he said, let me help you, And I said, all right, but you're going to be a co-author. So thank God he came on board, and we took it to the finish line that final year, and we self-published it. We went and printed 1,500 copies. We're down. I think we have like 5 or 6 left right now
beautiful.
today. Yeah. I just sold my last one, and he's got a half a dozen sitting at home.
And the name of the book?
Perrysburg Then and Now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. It's a pictorial look at Perrysburg's past and present. And I don't know. We may or may not order some more, but it's really been a big hit.
That's cool. Yeah.
So
I mean, people love. I know I do. I love side-by-side stuff, or there's one account that I follow on TikTok where it's like things worn down over time, so like the handrail that's been here for 75 years, but they didn't replace it, but it's like all worn down, or the tile from the dog walking back and forth.
There you go.
Like all that stuff. It's history.
It is. And
use of things.
So this has really evolved. I got a phone call a couple weeks ago from a 3rd grade teacher at Toth Elementary, and she says, Mr. Weber, we are. She actually knew me. My late wife used to work at Toth, so she said, we are. We're teaching our 3rd graders about local history. We're giving them the basics about how Perrysburg started and that. But would you want to come in and do a presentation? And I've done. First of all, I've never done public speaking before I got on council, and now I've done. But going in front of 109-year-olds. Because she said, we're going to put all the 3rd graders in one room and have you, expand on what we've taught them. I said, wow, now that made me a little more nervous, but I just did it. I just did it 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
And I had a blast. Those kids were so much fun.
Yeah.
I really got interactive with them. And I had my oldest daughter, Andrea, she's a teacher at Frank. And so she helped me build a slideshow. And I did a really great presentation.
Nice.
The kids just loved it. I had them guessing and things like that. And in fact, I'd put up pictures of a building, like it was the old coffee cup. And I said, does anybody know what this building used to be? And they're all looking at it. You can tell by the shape. Perrysburgers. And it is. Yeah, it's Perrysburgers. And I had old one where Swig. This one's Swig. And then I had this old picture of this old little barber shop. I said, does anybody know what this is? And they're looking. I said, I'll guarantee you every one of you have been in this building at some point. There's a little barber shop, a little square shop, and I had a couple of local roots or Zingos. I said, no. And finally one kid said, Oh Dear Diner. And the place erupted. I said, you're right, Oh Dear Diner. And so that we really had a blast. So that added to their, the basic history that they learned. And so I really had fun doing that with the 3rd graders.
Do you have a favorite, picture or a handful of pictures you really like that were in that book?
Oh yeah, I tell you, and I'm really it's Louisiana Avenue is really the ones that just the streetscapes of Louisiana Avenue. Those are my favorites. There was one picture that the corner of the northwest corner of Louisiana Avenue where Zingo's, there's a building right next to Zingo's there. There's a fire escape up there. And so I was digging through some old photos. I found one from the 40s of someone that stood up on that fire escape and took a picture of Louisiana Avenue looking down and all the way south. And I said, well, I want to try to duplicate that. So I got permission from the owner to go up on that fire escape. And I did the same thing. I went and did that exact same angle. And then I was doing some research through in the Messenger Journal, and I saw somebody back in the 70s did the same thing.
Really?
And so I put those three pictures together
That's cool.
on a page in the book. Now that's my favorite series because it's like three different decades. Oh my God! One was the 40s, one was the 70s, and then 2000s. Yeah. And it's just so incredible to see how everything changed. Mm-hmm. The trees. We used to have parking meters. The street lamps used to be real tall, super tall, and then they were short, and then tall, and then back to short. But there was a constant in the background is a little tower from the Commodore Building School. You can see that, so that never changed. But almost everything else has changed in those photos,
cool.
and it is really cool. In fact, one of the first photos shows that they used to allow parking down the center of Louisiana Avenue.
The center,
right down the middle, that whole where we have a turn lane right now. Yeah. That was parking.
Wow.
Yeah, so you saw all these old 1940s and 30s cars parked there. On top of the old trolley rails. Okay. They used to have a trolley go through there. So
wow. Well,
so it's just amazing to see the changes.
Yeah.
So that's what really got me into the history part, and then
well, based on that book and you being the city councilman and running for mayor and all that stuff, you seem like Mr. Perrysburg. Is this? Have you been here your entire life? Have you? Been
4 years old. I was 4 years old when we moved here in 1961, and this is interesting. The population, Perrysburg had just became a city from a village, January of 61.
Okay.
And that's the year we moved in. So I tell people, I was 4 years old, so I love telling people I'm older than the city.
Wow, Wow.
We were still a village up till 60 when because we needed to get 5,000 population so it was just over 5,000 when we moved here. And what's really, when you put that in perspective, just our student population right now in Perrysburg schools is 5,800.
Yeah.
So more than the entire population was when I moved here. So I've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Some not so good, but most for the better. I mean, we could, we don't want to. Everybody wants to stay small when you can, but you also don't want to be stale either. You want to try to grow the town. And,
I think that's what people don't understand, especially if you are a quote unquote like a destination place, for this area, like it's bound to grow because people want to come here. And you shouldn't be like upset about people liking your city or wanting to move to your city.
Exactly.
Right?
they see what we have and they want it, and you can't blame them. And that's primarily it's been the schools, but there's been a lot more too, that just the hometown feel, all the community events and things like that. And that's the kind of thing that I really want to keep in this town is, still keep the small town feel. We can still do that with our, community events and things like that, the parades and all that small town stuff you still do. And that's what makes like downtown so important, because it is the place you can go to make it still feel like a small town. Yeah, right.
When you're always at those parades or the homecoming festival or any of that stuff, like, or coming home. Any of that stuff. It's like, if you go downtown, then that's where it feels like small. Then you can go out to Levis Commons or go out to on 20 and do any shopping and stuff out there where it has a different feel, because that's what it is.
Right. And like you just mentioned, the coming home, the alumni is doing this coming home concert every year, and then that's fantastic because that's bringing a lot of alumni back. My wife and I, my current wife, my first wife, she passed away 20 years ago this year. Next month will be 20 years. And my current wife, actually, I met in 7th grade.
Oh, really?
So then we went through the Perrysburg schools together, and now it's up to us, her and I. We organize the class reunions.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay.
We've been doing it every 5 years, so we just had our 50th.
Okay.
We had a really great 50th just 2-3 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but then we brought home all kinds of classmates from all over the country as far as, East Coast, West Coast, and even one came in from Panama. So it was really great to get almost 100. You get almost 100 people. We had 99 people at our reunion.
Yeah,
and that's we had a small class of 230.
Okay, yeah.
So that was really good to get that.
I like that. I mean, we had our 20th reunion a few years ago, and leading up to it, we're like, all right, this seems like there's gonna be a lot of people there, and it seems like it'd be a good time. And we went, and I was like, yeah, it was a really good time. It was there was a lot of people there. And one thing, if anybody from my class is listening, one thing we can hang our hat on is that since we did ours, the two that tried to do it just have not been able to do anything. It's
a lot
difficult.
of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And then what we learned too, or what some of my friends were telling me, is like reunions are cool because you get to catch up with people. And I haven't seen you, whatever. But social media, about everyone all the time for the most part.
And that's what a lot of the younger class are doing. So we don't even have reunions, but we all know what everybody's doing. Well, we're still in the old mindset. That
I like reunions.
Yeah. Right. And so we have a couple classmates that have helped us every 5 years. And this year it was so big, we formed a committee because we made it really special, our 50th.
Yeah.
We went all out this time. We had it at the
cool.
boat club, and it was just a perfect evening, and it was really cool.
That's awesome.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have your reunions, I'm assuming you guys have pictures and kind of stuff. Do you have really good memories of or particular things you did when you were in high school?
Me, I was it's funny. I'm on the Nerdball podcast because I consider myself quite a nerd in high school. It's funny. I never went out for any sports because I just didn't think I would make it. So I figured it was easier for me to tell people I just didn't try out instead of I got cut. And then it turned. And after that, I really realized I was pretty athletic. I played softball for almost 20 years and racquetball. I dominated in racquetball in the 70s and 80s around here, and then now I'm a pickleballer. So I'm mediocre there. I'm still getting beat by 75-year-old ladies or 10-year-old kids, but it's a lot of fun. Pickleball is just a lot of fun.
Have you been up to Toledo Pickle Building?
I haven't been to that yet. I got to get in Toledo more because actually I just got to that the park that year and the ribbon where the ribbon is. I just went to that art show last week. That was my first time there. So I got to get to Toledo pickleball, but I play out at Rotary Park.
Okay, the Toledo Pickle Building it's a Metro Parks building too.
Yeah, it is a Metro Parks. Okay,
yeah, but we don't run it. We just own the building and the space. But it's a real nice facility.
I've heard great things about it.
It's awesome. The food's really good.
Yeah,
the food. It's a really good place.
And the courts, they say the courts are just pristine.
Yeah, they're nice.
They really love playing on that surface.
I had to take a lift on one of them to change some filters.
Okay.
In our HVAC units, and I was like, well, they said we can drive on them, but we were nervous about driving on them. But it was all right. I think I said earlier I was an electrician for 36 years. 27 of those years I was with a small company that we did those kind of buildings. But that company that I retired from, they did all the wiring there at that Toledo Pickle. Nice, yeah.
Yeah, so some good friends of mine did that, and I got to get over there and see it.
Yeah, electricity is some stuff when people are talking about, because I deal with contractors all the time. It makes it sound so simple, but I'm so terrified of electricity.
Yeah.
We have a power washer that's supposed to be 240, but somebody only hooked 120 to it, so it doesn't work like it should. And my boss is even saying all you got to do, the lines are ran. All the contractor would have to do is use the old line to pull two lines through.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, that seems easy, but it also sounds terrifying. So I have someone come out and do that.
Yeah, leave that to the professionals. Yeah. That's always a good practice. But I know exactly what they need to do there too, just by the way you described it. At least you have a respect for electricity. You can't see it, you can't smell it, but darn well you're going to feel it if you get in the wrong, put your fingers in the wrong place. So that's good
how'd
enough.
you get into construction? I guess.
My dad was a commercial industrial electrician as well.
Okay.
But it's funny, he did not really help me get in like I thought he would, but he says, you figure out what you're going to do first. So I did some other things right out of high school. I worked at Toledo Hospital a while, and then I got into it's funny, Chemlon, which is now True Green, but
Yeah.
back then, just using the word chem, nobody minded using chemical in the name Chemlon, but they would never do that now. But I used to spray lawns, and I said, hey, this is fun. But I learned real quick that's no career for especially getting older. So I said to my dad, I said, I got to find a trade. He says, well, get learning here, because a lot of he didn't do side jobs. A lot of electricians, some of them will do side work, and then they'll have their kid help them out and things like that. And I said, Dad, how come you never did any, side jobs? Work. Maybe you could take me along. He says, why would I want to do electrical work when I come home from work? That's like a mailman going for a walk on his day off.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, I get that. He says, you just learn it yourself. So I went in as green as could be back in 1980, 81. And so it was really, and I learned the trade.
Where'd you learn? Like through a union hall?
I was with Local 8, and I went through the apprenticeship.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
and it was an excellent program they have there.
Yeah.
And I took some college courses, not much, just in electrical, but, it's just the trades are, people need to realize the trades are really a good way to make a living.
Oh, yeah.
I retired at 55.
Yeah.
It's just a good way to make a living. You learn so much, especially electrical. You learn every trade.
Mm-hmm.
Electricians are usually the first one on the job and the last to leave, so they see it all.
It's funny to me. I knew a carpenter who said that exact same thing about carpenters. I was like, we learn a lot. We had to do this. We had to clean up this. We have to know how to build this. We had to do scaffolding, like all these different things.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you talk to Kevin Fuller, and he's on council. He's a carpenter, and we'll trade barbs back and forth a little bit, but. We always have fun there in the construction sites. It was fun.
I think it's cool too, because it is one of those things where you, like you said, you help people with their little projects at home with your kids and stuff, and I think that's cool too, because again, you're using your knowledge, but you're also like showing them like, hey, in the future, if you have to do this,
right. Yeah, I've over the years, and Tony was a pretty good hands-on guy. He could do anything himself. Now that I like to. Once again, I told you we bust chops all the time. I always tell Tony, I taught you everything but I haven't taught you everything I know yet. But
I like
it's now it's the other way around. Now he's saying it the other way around, because now he's knows all about sustainable farming, knows all about he's a pilot and everything. So it's all right. You do your thing.
Yeah. That's cool. So you mentioned getting appointed to city council. How did that come to be? Because I feel like that's I'm sure people were like, hey, Mark might be the guy, and then they go to you and ask you. But how does that come to be?
I tell you what, when I finished my remodel job in my house, I live on Cherry Street, an 1899 house that was. And so when I first retired, I spent the first 4.5 years just completely remodeling that, and I found myself with nothing to do. And I said, and I'm only a couple blocks from the municipal building. I said, I'm going to walk up there and sit on some meetings just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is back in 2015, probably 15, 16. And I just started finding it interesting. And so I started going to every meeting and every council meeting, every committee meeting. That you talk about a nerd. I was nerding out constantly on just city government. I said, wow, this is interesting. And I sitting in the back row all the time, and I look at those, trying to pay attention to what they're talking about. And I said, I could do that. No, I couldn't do that. No, I don't want to do that. Well, then I got talking to one of the other council members at the time, and she was saying, you ought to think about doing this, because I was picking her brain. I was asking her a lot of questions, and say, this, what's that? And she says, you ought to think about it. I said, no. Well, then. Haraz Gambari got appointed to the state house, so there became a vacancy.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of encouragement to just apply for that vacancy, and this was in May of 2019.
Okay.
And so I threw my name in the hat. There was like 15 or 16 of us that went for it, and we all had to get up there and give a little 5-minute talk about yourself, why you think you'd want to do this and everything. And I can't remember everything I said, but whatever it was, it worked. And I was the third one there was a third one nominated. The first two, it was a tie, and the mayor didn't want to break the tie. So and then I got nominated, and I got 4 votes, and so I finished out his term in 19. 20, I didn't run. I didn't run in 19 to be, by the time then it was too late to even get on a ballot. So I took 20 off, and then in 21 there was another vacancy.
I didn't realize. Okay.
So I got appointed. So I applied again.
Yeah.
I said, but this time I think I'm going to run because it's every odd year that they run for council.
Okay.
All right. So I was too late to get in on the 19 ballot. So at 21, I made it very well known and so we did our 5-minute speech up there again. There was about 13 or 14 of us. And I already had that 1 year in my belt, under my belt as far as experience. Yeah. So I knew what I was talking about this time. And I was anxious to get back on there because I really did want to really get involved and I really I saw where I could, be very beneficial and bring a different perspective so I was the first one nominated that year, and I got the votes right away. So, I didn't
realize you did it twice. You were appointed.
Yeah,
twice.
I was appointed twice, and well, this is not thinking. I keep bringing up my kid, but I know that he was on your podcast, and I think he mentioned me a couple times. He never passes up a chance to slam me. So. He
so
says,
you shouldn't pass up a chance.
Yeah, right. I won't because Tony, he kept saying, Dad, you weren't elected, you were selected. So that's not the same. So when you're going to run? So, all right, I'm going to run this time.
Yeah,
so, so I ran in 21, and then I'm just finishing up that 4-year term.
Yeah.
And actually, and then when I was elected in 21, and I knew, and Tom, Mayor Mackin was elected for his second term, I knew right then and there I was going to set my sights on mayor.
Okay.
I knew right there. I knew Tom was going to be term limited after at the end of this year, so I wasn't going to have to run against him. And I started trying to learn everything I could possibly learn about the job, and I've been doing that for the last 4 years.
How do you balance? Like, here's my goal. I want to be the mayor. I want to learn all this stuff, but also I got my city council duty to do.
Oh yeah, and they really work. They tie in nicely because I'm chair of the finance committee, so I do have I pay close attention to that part of it, and I've but there's really it's just expanding on the knowledge of city council to learn what the administration part of it's all about, because it's going to be a little different dynamic going from and that's kind of the thing I've been picking the brain of our current mayor. I said, what? Because he did the same thing. He went from council to mayor. Okay. So I would, I'm trying to pick his brain as much as I can. What were your biggest challenges? What you had to go from then? So it's a little different, because you're overseeing the entire operations of the. With council, we each have our own committees, and we kind of focus on, Kevin's in public utilities, Carrie does service, and I'm, finance. So we kind of focus on that, but then we bring it all together at meetings and vote on things together. But I have made a conscious effort to go to all the departments, these last couple of years, and just to learn all I could about their end of it, the administrative end of it. And we have an incredible city administrator, Joe Fawcett, who is really he really got the communication so much better between the administration, and not that it was that bad. Mayor Mackin's always done a great job, but Joe just brought in a lot of great ideas from where he came from, and so communication has really, really improved. So we have a great council, and we work really well with the administration. I have never seen any real problems between any of the council members, between each other, between the council and administration. We're working to get things done.
Yeah.
And so I just want to continue that. I want to continue that and show the next council the same respect that this administration has shown us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you are you able to, you're running for mayor, and that's the only thing you can run for. Is your city council seat open?
Yes.
Will it be?
Yes.
Open?
Yes. Yeah. I could have run for council too.
Okay,
If I'm not successful in this election, I'm not going to be on council anymore. You're out. I had to go all in.
Got it.
Yeah. Because because of the cycle, it falls on my. There's seven council members. So every odd year there's an election. So there's this year it's 3 council members and the mayor. The next cycle it's 4 council members. So if I'd have been on that, then like somebody can run for in 2 years. I could have, if I was on that cycle, I would have run for mayor and not have anything to worry about. But thank God none of the ones are running against me right now because they have nothing to lose because they could lose and still be on council.
Yeah.
But the way the cycle works, my term's over either way.
Oh yeah.
But I tell you what, I've been managing my time very well. Because in all these years, I'm in my 6th year now. I've never missed a meeting. I've never been never been late for a meeting. I've never missed a council meeting or a committee meeting. And before we were video streaming them, I was going to every committee meeting, whether I was on it or not. So it's really helpful now that they video stream and I can just watch the other ones at home. But I've gone to all the service department. I made sure last fall I rode on the truck to pick up leaves, and then I rode on the snow plow. I said, give me. I want to see what you do all day. So let's ride around. So we had one decent snow last year. So I picked that day. It was very fortunate. It was a Sunday, so I got to ride with Chris Cupp on the snow plow, and that was a lot of fun learning that. Then brush pickup came in the spring. I was right there and. And I did some ride-alongs with the police, and so I feel like I'm really getting to know their end of it and see what everything is all about.
Well, I think that's important to, you don't have to know 100% of all these other things, but if they see you like at least trying to do all these things, then that goes a long way too.
Oh yeah, exactly, and they all know that I'll never be telling them what I want to tell them how to do their job, but they like it. The service people have really said they really appreciate me coming out there and seeing what they do because we read about it on we get legislation through. Okay, they need a new fire truck or that, or they need a new dump truck, snowplow. But it's great to go out there and see it, and they see how it's used, and these are the things that break. Even afterwards, I was talking to the mechanics and find out what goes wrong on these things, and so that's very helpful when we have to go and give them approval to upgrade and things like that.
Has it been difficult for you because you've been in Perrysburg your whole life and you know a bunch of people and your kids know a bunch of people? Has it been difficult? Because I'm sure people come up to you personally and be like, "Hey, we need help with this," or "We need help with that," and if you become mayor, that's only going to explode. I feel like we need. Why can't we do this?
Yeah, they sure do. You know who you are.
How do you balance it? How do you work through that?
It's tough because yes, when I know so many people, it's funny. You're never off the clock.
Yeah.
I don't mind it though. I've always said this from day one. The most rewarding part of this job has been helping people out because dealing with all the red tape of city government can be a little intimidating, or it can just be a pain in the butt for anybody. So now I've learned it also that it's easier if they call me and say, "Mark, who do I call on this or that, or what do I do, or can you?" And if it's something I say, "You know what? Let me make that call for you," or I'll just go out to their house and say, "What is the problem? Show me what it is," and then I'll relay it back. Or if it's something real simple, I say, well, here's the phone number. Call this person. Yeah. But yes, it's daily, Lorenzo. Wow. I really do, and but that's the job I chose, and I don't mind it. I really don't. I'll answer their questions, and mostly it's people that are that I've grown up with. Yeah. It's funny. They never talked much about city stuff till I got involved, and then they say, "What about this? What about this?" I know somebody, and I want to know. I want to hear from you.
I try to. I live in a township, and I try to call them and give them kudos too sometimes, because that hardly ever happens. I know working for the Metro Parks, we'll get thank you notes every once in a while, or someone will call and be like, "Hey, your staff did a good job." It's mostly internal though. Like our philanthropy department will let me know, like, "Hey, your operations staff helped us really well this weekend at our event." So I had a tree I needed a tree cut down and I told the township, hey, part of the tree fell. Just let you know, if you can cut it up or whatever. And then I call them back, and I just let them know, like, hey, you guys did a great job. Thanks for your timely response. It looks really nice. So I just want to say thank you. And sometimes
they
sounds
really
like,
appreciate that.
yeah, and sometimes it sounds like they're like shocked by it.
Yeah, I know, because it's just like in council meetings, very few people will just come up there to the podium and say, I just came here to tell you guys you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Well, there are a few that do it, and we really appreciate that. But most people are not there having their best day when they come there. They're not there, and I get that though. I mean, you don't want to. But we do have one resident that he makes homemade candy. He brings it to us every Christmas, and we really appreciate him. And just to get up and say, we just want to let you know we appreciate you guys. We know you don't get paid much, but you give us a lot of time.
Yeah.
You're doing this, and we really appreciate it. So
Yeah.
that just makes you want to do more.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's why, I know I'm going to need the township for something else at some point. So I want them to if when they say, all right, what's your address? And I tell it to them and they're like, oh, and in their mind, like, oh, this is the guy who called that one time, and I'm not asking for anything extra. I just want them to know, like, hey, we need this thing from you guys. Thanks. And then thanks for doing it. And that's all it is.
You've got a fantastic administrator in the township. Let me tell you, John Eckel, him and I went to kindergarten together.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
we've been together since kindergarten. We graduated together. And so he used to be with the city, but he is their administrator, and that guy gets things done.
Yeah.
Well,
we have, for again, living in a township, they've done, like 4 years ago, they tore up all our roads and redid our roads in there and fixed the curbs and stuff. So I'm very much appreciative of those guys, because I know, being someone who works for operations and manages the staff of operations, we get phone calls like, hey, this thing's messed up, or this thing's broken, or there's garbage over here, like, just to be able to go and do that kind of stuff. So I know when my staff gets those kudos from people, I like to do it as well, so. One big question, and I'm sure people ask you all the time, is, especially now, the school has their levy coming up, and there's always a fight of like, well, we need to stop growing, or no, we can't stop growing, and that's the city's fault, or no, it's this, that, and the other. First of all, I think people need to understand that in order for Perrysburg to continue to be better, like, growth is needed. Now, at what pace, I don't know, or what type of growth, that's not for me to decide, but it's always needed. How do you combat those type of questions like, hey, it's the city's fault because now we're overpopulated, all this stuff?
Exactly. And we do hear that a lot. And it's funny, you do hear a lot. It automatically goes to the cities. It's a city, but some people forget that Perrysburg Township has students. Middleton Township has students there as well. And there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth in Middleton and Perrysburg Township as well.
And I have seen people on there point to that too as well, which is good.
That's important to know.
Like,
it's not all city, because we really city. We don't have a lot of property left. But a lot of the things, just down the road here, these Carronade apartments, I've been getting a lot of flack about that. That was zoned that way 20 years ago. So I mean that's where
it is what it is.
It is what it is there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to steer away from high density residential. I'm very much in favor of the 55 and older. There's been a couple 55 and over developments. I like that. That doesn't have a huge impact on the schools. But my main focus has been and will continue to be developing the Route 25 employment corridor. We call it there, the economic corridor, the employment corridor, because we go all the way to 5 Point Road, and we actually have infrastructure the main infrastructure is down there in place, all the way down to 5 Point Road.
Really?
Yeah, so we have the services. We just don't have the land. And we can't force anyone to sell their property. We're trying to encourage them and entice them that if you change the zoning to industrial or commercial, you're going to do better than we're hoping some residential developer doesn't get in there and want to take it. We want to try to get that area zoned properly because that's what's going to help it. We've got to really focus on that to help the schools, and it's not going to save them. It's not going to save the schools. And I've been even talking to Randy there, he says that it doesn't move the needle that much, but there's still the state funding is really it's been the biggest hit.
Yeah.
But
it's going to help.
Everything's going to help, and we are working together. And we have a council that is all focused on that too. And even all the candidates have said the exact same thing. We've all said it. We all said it, but we got to do the right, proper things. And first of all, it starts with a vision, and we've done that. We have a land use plan now. We know what that vision is, and we know that area is the area. So businesses are going to look here. They look at our land use plan. And that's something they look at before they want to relocate. Mm-hmm. We've come up with incentives. We have great incentives. We just improve those incentives to be more inclusive of the small businesses too. Okay. We don't want to forget about them. They're the heart and soul too of the small businesses. We've increased our financial commitment to economic development. Just recently, we raised the hotel tax from 3% to 6%. And that additional 3%, we are going to split it between extra safety services that we need for our growth and economic development, whatever it takes to help make these properties shovel ready. That's what we want to do. Okay. So when we can cut through some red tape. The zoning, we've trying to eliminate hurdles now with the zoning code. We've been working on this over a year. We hired a firm. Kevin, President of Council Fuller, and Mayor Mackin put together a team of business owners, residents, other stakeholders to have, and including the schools as well. We have a representative from the schools to help make suggestions on how we can make our zoning code more business friendly. And because we're getting kind of known throughout, I've been told that Perrysburg is not as welcoming to businesses as other areas, and we don't want. So we're trying to make that a little bit easier on them, and easier on our planning commission as well, so they can cut through a lot of the hurdles and so it's a process that. I wish would have been nice if this, had been more focused on this 15, 20 years ago, but how could we see, So now we're trying to look 15, 20 years ahead right now. So, I think in the next 4 years, I think Route 25 is going to look different. I think we're going to really, we've got a couple things in the works already that I know is going to happen in the next,
good.
And we're looking for maybe, I know there are council members and administrations working on maybe looking for some investors that might want to, help out purchase some properties. It's not exactly in our city budget. Just go out and we're not in the real estate business to go out and just buy property.
Yep.
But if we can do that, we can work with the property owners. We can work with some investors. That would really be well, because we can do our part by getting them ready. And
you're mentioning Route 25, and there is a community out there, the Perrysburg Heights, that my daughter twirls at the Heights Community Center, and Joe Morris helps things out there, and I talk to her quite a bit. We've used that facility in the past for softball practices. I got friends that grew up in that community. I know for a while I haven't heard much about it. I don't know what's going on, but are there are there plans for that community or because I know that's not in the city technically?
No, it's not. It's actually an island in there. And my wife grew up in the Heights there.
Oh wow!
And she still has family there. And I use the facility there as well. Played pickleball in the wintertime, and
nice.
And I know Jill and Andrea does a great job with the twirlers and everything. It's just fantastic. And no, I want to put the residents' minds at ease. They are not interested in annexing into the city, and under my administration, I'll never force it.
Okay.
If they wanted to, we would welcome them with open arms if they want to, because I would love to, the county really would like to see that island.
Yeah.
They don't like to see islands in the middle of municipalities and that. So, but there's still a lot of the residents there. I respect the tradition of the residents have been there forever, and they've got generations of residents there that like it the way it is. There was a few years ago that we were talking about the land use plan. and that got changed because I was very upset with the land use plan. I was on the steering committee of that, and the Heights was not, anything in the township was not even talked about. But then when the final version came out, they were showing all this development in the Heights area. So, wait a minute, why are we even talking about that? We've never engaged any of the residents because when we did that land use plan, we did have a lot of public engagement.
Yeah.
It was during COVID, so we had to do a lot of it online. But at the last minute, the firm someone made the decision to draw up plans for the Heights, but they did not come back to the original committee and ask us. And I was really quite surprised when I saw that. And I actually had friends. I have a lot of friends that live on in that community, and they were coming to my house and they were bringing me the drawing and show, what is this? I said, I never saw that.
Yeah.
I said, so I got fired up about it, and I was really upset that they didn't include them. And so there was a lot of misinformation thrown out saying that we were going to bulldoze their houses down and make it like another Levis Commons, and that just wasn't but they did want to. They were trying to make some suggestions because the commercial that's on the frontage of Route 25 is city. And so the township ends right behind. The township begins right behind those businesses are out front. So we had to work with them and make sure that we didn't encroach, anywhere beyond that. I think we've come to a great agreement that we came together as council and we decided we will not even suggest any commercial development beyond that. That'll always stay legacy residential. I think that's the term in the plan.
Okay.
So, and I just have a ton of respect for them, and I would never ever push to annex that.
I know my friend, I graduated, Leah DeLeo. She was real big on that, and she came on the podcast, and here we talked about it. So, I mean, it's good to hear that because that's I think it's an important community because you're right. It is very family based, and a lot of people have been there for generations, and now that they have a community center there, and like it is a cool place, and I would hate for anything forced upon it.
Yeah, and I hope I got that message across to Leah. I've known Leah since she was a little girl. She used to hang out with Teresa a lot, and I believe that I've made that clear to her and other residents because I know she's an advocate for the entire community, and I love that. It's really great to see someone get involved and help with the communication. Yeah. And so I feel that we're on a good level playing field here. That we know where we both stand, and she knows that she can contact me anytime. She knows I'm very approachable, and I've always gotten along really well with Leah.
Good.
Yes.
Well, Mark, before we go, I want to give you the last however long you want to take here, and just talk about like what you whatever we didn't touch upon. If there's some important issue you want to talk about, or something as you finish up your campaign here.
Well, thanks for that opportunity. I guess I just want to say, my vision for Perrysburg and my goals, my priorities, my three main priorities would be always and will always be the safety and security of the residents and visitors. And I want everyone to feel safe here. And I want it to always be a community that we can attract families and because we were talking about residential growth earlier. I don't want to eliminate all residential growth. We need it.
Correct.
We just have to be smart about where we place it. Like we're not going to put residential growth on Route 25, just like we're not going to put a factory out by out by Brookhaven or wherever. We got to be smart about where we develop. Our quality of life. That's one thing I want to. I feel we have a great quality of life here, and that's something that businesses are going to look at before they come to look at relocating here in Perrysburg or expanding. So I'm always going to make sure our services are the top notch, and we do. We have just excellent services when it comes to everything from trash to brush pickup to snow plowing, and I want to focus too on multi-use paths. I want to have connectivity throughout this whole town of non-motorized connectivity. and that really eliminates a lot of the traffic. It gives people alternatives to get out there and get. It's healthier, get fresh air. It builds community when you get out on a bike path and you actually get to talk to people. You run into people. So I really like that. And it's just safer for everybody to get around town. And so I would love to connect our parks where we have some great ones in the work. We're finishing up the one down the Riverwalk. We have that little section in Orleans Park to finish up. And this year we're still going to start along the Fort Meigs ditch. Between the fort and Fort Meigs School, that we're going to be connecting that with a multi-use path. And that's kind of the missing link that'll take you all the way to HPI School. And that, that's the only missing link right there. And once we fill that in, you can go from there all the way to the Cannonball Trail. It takes your way out to Wasion without ever going on a street. So I'm very big on that. And then, of course, like we've already touched on, the economic development. That just gets discussed on a regular basis between council members, administration, and we'll never stop focusing on that. Yeah. So I always want to make sure that people know that I, as a mayor, will always be approachable, accessible in any way. My cell phone number is out there. I have it on all the time. I answer my calls. I don't I don't screen them. I answer them. If I don't answer, it might be because I'm on the phone with someone else. But I have people people call me and I'll answer. I said, "Oh, I didn't expect you to answer."
I'm not ready.
Yeah, I was going to leave you a message. I said, "What do you want? Let's talk." I just want to, that is very important to me. Communication is the biggest thing, and like I said earlier, we have great communication now between council and the administration. I pledge to continue that, and I will really focus on that. Transparency will just be top of the list for me. Sure. And but I'm going to continue to lead the same way I led my family, raising my family with honesty, integrity, and common sense. Yeah. I mean, it's got to make sense to do it, and I'll have people call me about something. I say, I can't believe they're making me do this, or I go through this. It just makes no sense. And I'll go, let me find you the answers, because I want it to make sense too. I don't want to just do something. And this is some things in the code that needs to be changed because they just don't make sense. So I'm always going to work on that. Yeah. So, but that's the message I just want to get across to people, that I grew up here. I've seen all the changes when we were talking a lot about that golf facility that was going to go in next to Costco, which it's not anymore. It's all known now. It's not. A lot of the residents were the nearby residents were upset. They said, put yourself in our place. How would you like to live here on Echo Junction Road? See that? I said, well, now that you mention it, I did grow up on Echo Junction Road, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And that's where my house was in 1961. And we watched everything grow up. Even we didn't like you moving in either. We thought it was going to be a farmland the whole time. But I accept that. We're a growing community, and but we can be smart and grow smart.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out here. I was slowly watching the spider come down here, and I think it made it to the floor somewhere. I was like,
well, it's like an hourglass. Okay, my time's up. As soon as the spider hits the floor, okay, you're done, Mark. You cut off. That's what you should do for everybody. Say, all right, now we're starting with the spider. Now when he's done,
well, one time there was one that landed that was right on my shoulder. When I guess there's a spider, and you're like, oh my god. But anyway, Mark, thanks again for coming out here. This was phenomenal. And again, this is my type of interviews where it's someone I see on a regular basis, but get to sit down and talk to him for an hour and learn a lot more about him. And then in this case, why you're running for mayor. So this was a great time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Lorenzo. I really appreciate it. All right.
Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. If you want to reach out or be on the show, just search the Nerdball Podcast on any social media. If you want to email us, that is thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always YouTube, so you can go on there, subscribe to the Nerdball Podcast, and watch the podcast every week. As always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuddlefish Graphics, Big Daddy Graphics, and Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab for always supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.